Boom Studios' Once and Future is a modern-day epic fantasy being written by Kieran Gillen. Dan Mora is doing the art in this book, and Tamara Bonavillin lends her beautiful color palette to this awesome book. Ed Dukeshire rounds out the team, coming in and doing the letters for this book, and that's what we're going to be talking about and reviewing in today's video. What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel for today's comic book review. And as I said, today we are talking about Boom Studios' Once and Future, issue number 8. Guys, if you haven't been reading this story, it's been a very good one. It's like a modern day epic fantasy in which we see Duncan and his granny going out there, and they are trying to put a stop to King Arthur, who has found his Sir Galahad, who has barely survived the siege perilous, and they're trying to take over the world, right? Well, Duncan and his granny, with the help of Duncan's, kind of girlfriend, Rose, are out there to put a stop to what they are trying to do. And here in issue number 8, we see that Galahad has been injured, as he did barely survive the siege perilous, as King Arthur is sitting here, coming to his aid to try and try and nurse him back to undead health, or whatever you might call something like that. Well, as he is sitting there talking with Galahad, in comes Beowulf, and Beowulf is upset, doesn't know what's going on, and him and King Arthur begin to just get into this kind of epic fight where they are sitting there going back and forth. And then in comes Malone, who comes in and kind of tells them, like, hey, like, you guys just stop fighting, because you know what, there are people right now, there's a monster and a mother out there right now descending upon this place to come and put a stop to what we're trying to do, and we need to focus on that. And that's when Beowulf pretty much steps in and says, hey, you know what, I'll come in and put a stop to these people. Who are they? Who are these people who stand against me? And that's when we see Merlin kind of step in here, as King Arthur didn't really know who he was, and Merlin steps in and kind of reveals himself, and they have a little bit of a conversation about a lot of these things that are going on here. And again, take a look at some more of this art. Like I said, so in this issue we see that Merlin and Beowulf are being brought into this modern day fantasy to kind of up the ante, I guess, to up the ante. And as Duncan and his grandma are out searching for ways to stop them, they get some assistance from Rose to see where they need to be going to next. And they get this feeling that they're being followed, and it turns out that they are being followed. Now, I can't remember this character's name off the top of my head, but she is pretty much the one, she is the mother of the person who became the Galahad for King Arthur. So she's sitting there kind of spying on them. She's basically kind of who was the person who brought all this together, the society of people who were brought King Arthur back to life. That was clear back in like issue number 1 and issue number 2. I did some reviews of those here on the channel, and you should go check those out. So she's sitting there following them, and as she gets done, she gets a hold of King Arthur and lets him know, with the use of her magic here, to tell him, what they are up to. You can see right there where she's using the little sticks and everything to communicate, and he's communicating with her back. And so he asks her, to tell her, like, hey, just wait for communications. We'll get a hold of you. So then she asks how Galahad is doing, and he's saying, oh, he's fine. He's fine. To which she kind of looks, I don't know, she looks a little suspicious. Yeah. And anyway, and as we are there, we see that Duncan, we flash back to Duncan and his grandma, who are driving down the road to head to a new location to look for these the scripts of Beowulf that they're going to need. And that's when Rose tells them, she's trying to tell them where to go, where there's a new occurrence, if you will, of one of these like people, like these dead knights or whatever back. And that's when she tells them, like, hey, like, where are you guys at? And that's when they end up getting attacked while they are out there on the road. And this is kind of where the issue ends up right here. I mean, just look at that. Look at seriously, look at that art, okay? Look at the art in this, okay? Look at those colors, okay? Just look at them. I'm telling you, I hear a lot of people talk about this book. I've heard other reviewers out there talking about how much they like this book, how Kieran Gillen's doing a good job writing this book, to which I agree. I think it's okay. Like, I don't know, Duncan being kind of a weenie, his grandma being the strong, you know, that gets a little bit old. But you know, it's kind of that Golden Girls meets, I don't know, Jack Ritter, or you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. No, but you know, Three's Company. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Imagine that. Is what's going on here. But Kieran Gillen doing a good job with this book. I hear a lot of people talking about Dan Mora and how great of the art is in this book. But the one thing I am telling you guys is the one thing I don't hear enough people talking about is Tamara Bonvillain and the coloring that she is doing in this book. I'm telling you, just look at some of this stuff. Look at that beautiful artwork. I mean, the artwork is great, but look at those colors. You know what I mean? Look at those colors. You can see she's using all these bubbles that show the magic when the magic is occurring. Just some of the different color schemes she's using here. I'm telling you, like, look at this. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, to me, that is just beautiful, beautiful coloring in this book. So I would say you should definitely be reading this book if you're into something like that, like a modern day epic fantasy. Definitely check this one out. I have enjoyed this series, though I'm not for sure how much longer I'm going to keep reading this series. It was originally supposed to be just a mini series, then they ended up going on and making it an ongoing series over at Boom Studios, to which I've got to say I can agree with that, because this book is actually pretty good. But let me know down in the comments below, have you read Once and Future? If not, is it something that might interest you? Let's talk about that down in the comments below, and let me know all your thoughts about how this story sounds, the artwork, and tell me, you know, can we give Tamara Bonvillain some praise for this? Because I think the colors in this book are absolutely beautiful. That's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Second Street Marvel. If you haven't already, please make sure you're subscribed, click the little bell and all of that good stuff. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, feel free to give it a thumbs down. It's all good, but while you're at it, make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week. Go out and read some awesome comic books, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.